Okay, welcome to our channel once again. This is going to be a quick video and possibly the last video in relations to the Cedi appreciation, new Ghana Cedi appreciation against the US dollar, against the pound sterling and the euro and other foreign currencies. The reason why I'm making this second part of this video is just to give a little bit more clarity on certain issues that has been raised. These I've probably seen on videos coming from Ghana. One made by, I think, Kum Chacha was being interviewed, and he made such comments that if the cedi continues to appreciate against foreign currency, i.e. US dollar, that is gonna cause a problem for some people. And we've also heard about other noises that have been made or complaints made by Ghanaians in the diaspora that are possibly sending foreign currency back into Ghana. Because in the previous video, I did mention about the Ghana Gold Board, which is the one of the key setup that has helped with this appreciation of the Ghanaian cedi, and also the clamping down on dollarization, that is people that are spending dollars in Ghana. Now, in all, when you think about this critically, there has been a great advantage. For example, where we have a situation where a government minister had $1 million in their home, found at home, and nothing was done to this person. These are monies that are probably sitting there, whereby if the cedi continue to depreciate, assuming that the Mahama administration didn't come up with these good measures and appointed the right sort of people, for example, Dr. Siama to be the head of, or obviously the governor of Bank of Ghana, and to force in Ministry of Finance, then the cedi would have continued to depreciate, and therefore people that were hiding these huge sums of dollars in their homes would have sat on it and basically continued to exchange it to make a living out of it. But now that the foreign currency is falling, its value is falling so much due to the good economic management by Ato Forsen and also Dr. Siama at the Bank of Ghana. Now, people that are holding on to these foreign currency, i.e. dollars in Ghana, are going to be thinking twice, because this trend, I think if they keep doing what they are doing, this trend is going to continue, and then obviously it's going to help the Ghana currency to rebound and basically takes its normal position. I mean, what is happening is great news for Ghana. And as I said in my previous video, we can only start celebrating when we start to hit the levels of about $5, 5 new Ghana cedi to $1. And even that should go even further down, because the correct settings, which was done by the then Kufuor administration, was 1 cedi to $1. So this is where the aim should be, because that one cedi is equal to the old 10,000 cedi. So if we get to that level, it will mean that it's 10,000 cedis being 1 new Ghana cedi, which is then equal to $1. So this is what the aim should be. But for those that have complained about them sending their monies to Ghana and then obviously feeling that they are not getting more cedis for their dollars or more cedis for their pound sterling or euro, there are a few things to sort of point out to help with the situation. So, for example, if the cedi continues to depreciate as rapidly as it was, it is just an indication that there is no good economic management, that that everything is inflationary, that Ghana is not producing anything, that Ghana doesn't have any value within itself against obviously foreign competitors, and that is why the cedi continues to fall. So this kind of thing is not a good thing. But if we have a situation where the cedi begins to appreciate, that means that there is proper economic management systems in place, clamping down on dollarization, and these type of things will help to stabilize the cedi. Now, if the cedi continues to depreciate, what then happens is that for example, people that are importing goods into Ghana, Ghana not producing anything and highly dependent on imports, the cost of importation really shoots up, which then transfers to domestic inflation, because if they import goods at higher cost, then surely they will pass the cost down into the local or the domestic market, which is then inflationary. And so, just to give the Ghanaians in the diaspora a perspective, what it is that if you take, say, your sterling or your dollar to Ghana and you exchange it at that depreciated value and you think you're getting more money, all that money that you are getting is being wiped out or wiped away by domestic inflation. So you are getting, so basically you're looking at it in nominal terms. When we say in nominal terms, it's like you're just looking at the physical cash that you're getting. And that physical cash is being wiped away by inflation, because if inflation is high, whatever money you get doesn't take you that far. And so what you want to see is for inflation to come down. So the diasporans do have a point. For example, if as the cedi is appreciating in value and they are getting less for the monies that they are bringing in, if domestic inflation doesn't drop in the same percentage as the currency appreciation, the percentage of appreciation, let's say, for example, argument's sake, currency is appreciated by 20%. That means that obviously the Mahama administration and obviously the Bank of Ghana or the Ministry of Finance should chase local traders to ensure that they also drop prices by 20%. So this should be reflective in the cost of fuel, should be reflective in the cost of transport, it should be reflective in the cost of goods and services, cement, building materials, you know the lot. And if that happens, if the government is able to pressure these domestic sellers to drop the prices, then there is no problem. So that means that you take your money in, you get less, you get less for the money that you bring in. Say, for example, before, if you brought in £1 and you were getting, say, 17 cedis, now you bring in £1, you're getting 13 cedis. But with that 13 cedis, the domestic prices have also dropped by that margin, and so everything then comes down, basically settles to its normal level. We must understand that everything that goes up ideally must come down. Life is like that. It's an up and down situation, and that should be the situation. It needs to drop. And so the problem that obviously the diasporans are, the argument that they are making, which I think the President Mahama should really take it on board and just get some task force out there to ensure that prices are being dropped, because the economy is being managed properly. But then people that have been charging higher prices because of the mismanagement from the Akufo-Addo government are still holding the prices the same without any good justification. For example, fuel prices have come down. All these things should be reflective, because the exchange rate is really one of the key indicators. And so if you're getting an appreciation by a certain percentage, then it should be reflective in domestic prices. Otherwise, the guy brings let's say he brings it in his pound. Now he gets 13 cedis to the pound. But then when he goes to the market to buy something, he's still buying, let's say, a bag of cement. If he used to buy it for 40 cedis, he's still buying it at 40 cedis. And so the diasporan guy is losing money. And if this trend continues without the government really doing anything about forcing the local sellers or traders to drop their prices, then what you're going to find is that the diasporans are going to reduce the amount of foreign currency they are bringing into Ghana, which will then impact the level of foreign currency reserves that the Bank of Ghana may, or the Ministry of Finance may have. I will say is the Bank of Ghana. They will also experience a drop. And so this is an important issue that obviously the Mahama administration should take into consideration in ensuring that there's a task force out there to make sure that every aspect of the economy are seeing this price drop. And so if they do drop these prices, then what then happens is that if the diasporan guy comes in with, they say, his sterling, before it was 17, now it's 13. Now he gets 13, but then when he goes to buy the bag of cement, the bag of cement is reduced from, say, 40 to 30 cedis. Then now the guy will know that this is a general feel-good factor, that prices are coming down across the board. And then this trend then continues until a time when the cedi and the foreign currency picks a level which then shows basically the equilibrium, the correct level when the Ghana economy is being managed properly. So we look at something like let's look at something like exports. So people that are obviously on the import side, when the currency is now appreciating against the foreign currency, it will mean that importers will now be using less cedis to import the goods that they bring in, and therefore they can bring in these goods at a relatively cheaper price domestically. But for the exporters, they will begin with the appreciation. The exporters are probably going to be like in the same position as the people in the diaspora. They get their foreign currency, but now when they bring it into Ghana, and they obviously, because of the clamping down on dollarization, they just have to take it to the Bank of Ghana and get the cedis. They are also not going to be happy, or they are going to be discouraged in exporting goods. And so with a situation like that, once again, if the domestic inflation is dropped, then obviously the exporter also cannot complain, because when they bring in their obviously their foreign currency, which is then reduced in how much cedi they are getting, when they receive that cedis, then they are spending, they use less of that cedi to get the goods that they used to get, or they buy, say, cement locally at a cheaper price, and everything at a cheaper price, get traveling, everything, petrol prices, everything goes down. So it's very important that the Mahama administration must indeed clamp down on prices, because the danger with price increases, and this is why economies must always be managed properly, so that prices don't spiral out of control. Because the problem with prices is that once they go up, then it becomes very difficult to get the prices down. We have the same kind of problem here in the UK. It's very difficult for, the government they don't want to do that. But in effect, that is what even in the UK here they need to do, because post-COVID, prices have gone up. And now that the economy maybe is settling, the people that are selling goods, they've had a free range of a period where they could just increase prices without any justification. And so they continue in that same pattern, and this causes some sort of an artificial inflation. This is not a real inflation, it's artificial, because people are just putting up prices because they can, and nobody is going to regulate them. And so this is where prices needs to be regulated, to ensure that people are charging the correct prices for the goods that they are selling to customers. And so that is that. Let's have a look. Yeah, so I suppose that is the key thing, that prices, Mahama administration, they need to get the task force out there just to look into prices and ensure that prices are basically dropped the same percentage as the currency is appreciating. They need to talk about it. This information it needs to come out. You know, they need to have a bold Ministry of Finance and also Bank of Ghana needs to communicate this to the public and to ensure, because we've had that thing before many years ago when there was this Kalabule issue with the Makwala market and Rawlings got really angry and, you know, people really suffered for it. You know, people that were hiding or hoarding goods and were really beaten up and all that. And, you know, we don't want to see Ghana go back into that sort of era. And so the communication should be made out there for these traders, if they have a union, to communicate that if the currency is appreciating, if the economy is being managed well, then they should also make it reflect in the level of inflation, that they should reduce their prices. And so then that is it. I think in concluding this, I will probably speak a bit of domestic local language tree, just to try to explain to those who may not understand what I'm trying to say. Inti the American and say sikano a esote no eya de papa sikano sote a Ghana sikano mu ayedu inti no eya de papa ma Ghana e kire se Ghana ye oman bu no aye papa kire se sese no ye produce domestically and ye manage ye gold and ye manage sika enkofo edifri amano no eba Ghana no aban na so saa sika no na omo hia sika na omo de akoye mpuntudwuma omo de atoto no ema ehia ema Ghana nti eno na eboa ama sika na hold in value no nti no omo nso omo wo amanone no omo de sika ba omo fi sesese no omo sika na so ate nti esa na ema omo mfa sika ema Ghana pi Ghana aban no so hia abruchiri sika na omo nso de beye omo ne omo eno nso na beboa ma Cedi no hold in value nti ne kama na kwakosia ne se aban na yeso ohwe na domestically no Ghana ho no wo motete enioma so nkofo mo tonto enioma percentage no kire se ne sika na esi appreciate na sa percentage na na yeso wo motete enioma so nti 20% a esi ehu se inflation no wo motete enioma so by 20%. So omo anya ne saa no a saa na obi di ne sika ba na wati ne sika na so first no nya 17 na woman 13, but okoto bag of cement, a bag of cement no that so 40, because you know ton bag of cement no on beso better so, because on so keeping the 40 no be nya mfa so into there say Ghana for nyina obi atete the prices so into say auto prices so they are menso me de sika ba na sika na end also kra na minim say me koto cement a ya te so from 40 to 30 na che say ama o man no a start building up so into sa na yeka into video we de me nka ho asem biom so nipa ni nyina yeso obi a use na adwene te say bia nkofo koto ne ma te say treasury bills o koto treasury bills ne yeka say bia ye be ma o say 20% and say 40, even cry if I say 150% return say domestic inflation also nam 60% na che say in real terms no you know wakwa koto no treasury bills mfa so obi ene so ntitem bia ye say inflation na wo fom se ne be ya wudu sika nso to bank na bibia ne ade obenya ato so no na kire se sika papa so na kire se mfa so nti no MC video yi me de ma no be si he ya nti no to everyone, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully this should be the last in these issues of currency Cedi appreciation. So thank you for watching this video. Have a good day.